Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the ZCFX Trading Talk. I'm your host Luke, and I'm thrilled to kick things off by introducing two outstanding new members of the ZCFX coaching team. You've probably seen them before, Errol and Jack. Both Errol and Jack are now a permanent part of the ZCFX family, bringing with them a wealth of knowledge, experience and passion for trading and just overall good energy. Now, with that being said, Jack is our newest coach. He's already started making a significant impact within the community, and we're excited for everything he and Errol will bring to the community. Today, we'll be diving into their journeys and share what they have in store for the ZCFX community, and also we'll be jumping into some topics that we'll be discussing over this video. Now, Errol and Jack, before we dive into everything, I'd love for you guys to introduce yourselves to the listeners. Errol, let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, your journey into trading, and what brought you to the ZCFX trading team?
So I'm 22. I'm quite young compared to these two fossils. I got into trading in May 2023, so not even 2 years ago. And it was through a friend who was doing the course. He recommended me to join, so I thought, you know what, I'll try this for a few months. So I signed up for 3 months and then thought, you know what, this is really good. So got the lifetime, got 2 funded accounts. So yeah, probably the best thing I ever did.
Thanks for sharing, Errol. Really appreciate you calling us a fossil as well, mate. But anyways, Jack, you're up next, pal. So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the trading world and obviously joined the ZCFX trading team as well?
Hi guys, I'm a 6-figure funded trader with multiple different prop firms. I've been in the trading space for about 6 years. I originally started with stocks and options, but lost a load of money. I moved to Forex about a year and a half ago with Luke, and I've been trading his way ever since. And yeah, glad to be part of the team.
Awesome, Jack. Thanks so much for sharing that with us, obviously. And, it's great to have you on board and have hear a bit about your journey as well. But I'd really like to shift gears here a little bit and dive into something I know that listeners are really eager to hear about. So let's talk about what it really takes to stay consistent as a trader and why so many traders end up quitting. So for example, the 3 of us here right now, we have all found success in an industry where the majority of people struggle. So, why is that? What separates those who make it from those who don't, and how have we each managed to, stay in the game and succeed?
I'm going to give a very unprofessional answer to a very professional question. I think you just got to get out of bed and get on with it. I think it's one of them ones where if you just keep doing it, it eventually becomes second nature, and you can just push through it. And then once you push through it, it just becomes easy by that point.
Yeah, cause you just got to get in your routine, innit? Well, to be fair, mine's it's in my routine, but I never don't do it. I'll just get a message off YouTube telling me to lock in.
Yeah, it's always good to have people like that, though. It's always good to have people hold you accountable. And it's like the quote goes: "The consistency you seek is in your mind, not in the markets." It's in showing up every day at the same time, getting out of bed on time, and just really putting in the work. Sticking to your rules with discipline, etc. So, I really do agree with that.
That's the thing with the Discord, though, isn't it? It's like, even though we don't obviously all speak to each other in the morning, it's that routine of saying hi. So it's like, it's knowing that every morning at 6:30 or 7:49 in Errol's case.
7:49.
Okay. All right. I'm always up before 7. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, 7:49. It's just you've got that routine of getting out of bed and seeing the charts, and then from there it's just all about routine. Routine gets you through everything.
Yeah. Definitely. Some days it might be hard, but you just got to push yourself out of bed.
Yeah, exactly. You'll always feel better for it, because if you wake up and miss an opportunity, you're gonna feel like crap. Let's be honest.
This morning
the taken as well.
Yeah, this morning. What was it? EU longs or GU longs? Like 6.
Are you calling out Jack here? Oh yeah, I sense a bit of a Jack call out coming in there.
Well,
Yeah, no, but honestly, the truth is, a lot of traders, they generally do end up quitting because they come into this, obviously, business or game, whatever you want to refer to it as. They just come into it with the wrong expectations. They think that success will happen just like that overnight, or they let emotions like fear and greed take over just like that as well. When things don't go their way quickly, they lose patience, confidence, and it's eventually that just leads to them giving up instead of pushing through the learning curve like they just need to do.
Yeah, I'm not calling anyone out, but I took the time out of my day to teach 3 people. Fair enough. Some of them have got jobs. But that's it, they didn't give up. No, they gave up, didn't have the consistency.
Yeah.
They just gave up because they didn't see instant success.
Yeah, exactly, because that's what I'm saying. They expect it quick, they want it overnight, where training's not like that at all, as we know.
So it's like that thing of accepting that you're never going to be 100% as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So not letting, it's easier said than done. Just not letting yourself get beat up for something going wrong or not understanding something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
As you say, the market's
100%.
unpredictable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets, as we all know. But definitely, I feel like in order to become that successful trader that separates you in the minority from the masses, you definitely need to just, if anything, and as harsh as it sounds, if and you're losing, you're failing, etc., you just got to keep pushing through. It's as simple as that. Develop a certain set of rules. That has a positive expectancy long term, and then just it's all in your mind from then on. You just need to show up every day, because at the end of the day, you can just come onto the charts and randomly press buy and sell with your eyes closed and be profitable if you manage it well, etc. So it's not so much, like I said earlier with the quote, the consistency seeking your mind. It's not, it's in your mind, not in the markets. It really is all in your mind, in my opinion, when it comes to trading.
Definitely, like I just used to wake up and buy and sell GCAD randomly on them 1 minute.
Yeah, but you had a bit of an edge, obviously. You marked up the charts.
Yeah.
Wait for prices
Yeah.
to stop
Well, it swept Asia lows, and we thought, do you know what? This is where we go with this one.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. No one's perfect though, are they?
Yeah.
It's
Exactly, yeah.
But then you learn from the mistakes. We haven't done it since.
Yeah, like that same trade we took. That was a traumatic day.
Yeah, we won't talk about that one, boys.
Ever let go down.
Yeah. But that was probably one of your worst losses, though, wasn't it? As a pound.
100%. Yeah. Well, it weren't financially a worse loss, but it was definitely
decision making
stuck in there. Yo, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
We both just realised, why have we done this?
Yeah.
As soon as we both put it in profits and loss.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. It's all about. It's that thing. It's like the longer you're in the markets, the more losses you do, and the more you learn from it.
Mm.
So it's just one of them things. It's like you always say, you've got to pay your tuition in a way.
Yeah.
In order to be profitable, and it's one of the things. It's like no one can teach you to be profitable. They can teach you what to do, but unfortunately, it just takes a while. It's one of the things.
You got to put in the work of doing it every day. That's where the consistency comes in, or else if you do it every other day, or not every other day, you do it and then you have like a week off, come back and you're like, I'm going to get back into it, and just have another week off. What's the point of even starting it?
Yeah, definitely. And as well, I just want to jump in here and say quickly as well, another big reason why traders give up is because they don't treat trading like a real business. They jump from one system to another, chasing quick wins without ever, really mastering one approach, really, without a clear plan, discipline, and obviously long-term vision. It's easy to feel lost, but that's when, most people tap out eventually. But I feel like they obviously don't treat trading like a business. They just think of it as like some scheme to make quick money, and obviously, as we know, it's not like that. But I feel like even if you do jump onto one system, start to learn it, you're not going to get it straight away. You are going to start to lose, no matter how you trade. You are going to lose. You're going to face a series of losses, multiple setbacks, failures, whatever it be. You are going to face that. So it's just important to you to just stay true to it, and rather than jumping from the next system to the next just because you took a loss here and there, it's just really important to stay true to the one system. Otherwise, you'll end up in the cycle of doom, which we don't have to get into today. But it's really important to just treat it like a real business at the end of the day.
That's the big thing with being part of the community as well, because it's you're not alone. You could ask other people.
Yeah,
we
have plenty of students that ask, "Oh, why did this not work?" And we can tell them because we've done it. Kind of thing. It's you're not on your own for trying to figure out what's going wrong. You've got people that can help you and point you towards.
Yeah, exactly.
What is going wrong? Speed it up a bit.
Yeah,
that's why showing your losses is always the best to learn, because if you post a loss like we did, it was stupid. We realised that it was stupid after posting it.
Well, as well, as soon as you don't want to post that loss, in your head you've done something wrong. If it doesn't go in the chat, you don't even need to know why. You broke your rules.
Yeah,
it's all about sticking to your rules at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's definitely good to have a community there, because at the end of the day, we're all like-minded. We're all on the same path to success. Yeah, maybe from different backgrounds, etc. But we all have the same vision. We all have the same goal, etc. But yeah, is there anything else you guys want to put on that? Because we can talk about another topic if you'd like.
I feel like another reason, why people kind of don't succeed as well is because, where the target, you might target the moon. Every so often that will work, but just focus on the profits, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Cut your losses and hold your winners.
Yeah.
How we take partials at 2R.
Yeah.
And then we just hold it. It's kind of just risk management, isn't it, at the end of the day? Just thinking of it
social media, that for you, though. You go on social media and you see people winning 10-hour trades, 20-hour trades.
Yeah, just took 1,000 pips.
Yeah. And it's like, how many of them are they catching? Whereas obviously we're all catching 2-3 hour trades every day. And it adds up to I trade over the course of 2 weeks, but our win rate's far higher than theirs would be anyway.
And those 2-3 oppositions as well, especially 2R, it just seems like such a perfect target. Like, even if you take partials, have it as a fixed TP, etc., it doesn't matter. It literally seems like a perfect target a lot of the time.
Yeah, actually, taking partials at that point is perfect. But also, like, I don't actually think we've lost, like the full percent for ages.
Yes,
but now I've said that, tomorrow we're all going to lose, aren't
we? Yeah. Probably. I'll be surprised. That's the thing. I think they dealt with people getting through a rough patch, though. I reckon if they actually genuinely looked at the trades that they were losing, I reckon most of the time they'd actually probably be going 2-3 hour anyway, because the TP is so large and they're not managing risk as in going break even after a certain point or taking partials.
Yeah.
Then on their journal, that's actually a loss.
Yeah, sometimes you got full port and aim for the moon.
Yeah, well,
that's the thing with that to the viewers that are listening.
No, definitely not. That's the thing with partials, though, isn't it? It's like, yeah, you're taking half the risk off, say 2R, but then you're hitting a 6-hour trade.
Can I just interrupt you, Jack, as well? If someone's listening out there and they didn't understand what taking partials at 2R mean, how would you explain that to someone out there listening?
So it's basically split. It's taking risk off the table. So obviously every trade you take, putting risk in the market. So obviously what we mean by 2R or taking partials at 2R is once it gets 2 times your risk, we're taking half that position off and then setting our stops to break even. So it just means that one, it's better for your head. Like you're not sat with a P&L that's floating and you're worried about it coming back down. You've already banked some profits.
Yeah.
So that in itself, I think, is just a massive thing that a lot of beginners probably should look at doing.
Yeah,
just to help the psychology out. Well, there's quite a few people in our community that would obviously they'll come to us and they'll be like, "Why am I not winning? Why am I not profitable?" And then we'd look at the trades and they're getting better entries than us, but they're not taking partials. They're not closing it when they should do. They're thinking it's going to go to the weekly highs or the monthly lows. Rather than just being realistic and taking that 3 hour and coming back tomorrow. Because if you are in line with the trend anyway, you can look at re-entering tomorrow to go long, but you've already banked some profits from the day before.
Yeah, exactly. Like, catch a bit of the pie, you don't need a whole pie type thing.
Precisely. Great quote.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. It's like mine in the U today. If I didn't take partials, I would have been stopped out for the full position. Because I took the partials and it came back to break even and then it stopped me out. I mean, it did stop me out and then fly to my TP, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, you don't need to be right though, do you?
No, you've still got some profit, and you can say, "Oh yeah, I still basically won that trade."
It's like on that gold trade I took the other week. My analysis was completely wrong. Like the idea I had in my head, it played out, but it wasn't what happened. But I still made money on the trade.
Yeah, just goes to show. But yeah, a general question I'd like to ask you guys is, when you look at long-term success in trading, how much of it would you say comes down to mindset versus actual, strategy or system that you're trading? Because I personally think, a lot of people obsess over finding the perfect system, but in reality, it might not even be the strategy that's holding them back.
I think it's 50-50 for sure. Because if you don't know what you're looking at, then no amount of risk management is going to help you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think as long as you have a basic understanding of where to get in, where to get out in the higher time frame, the rest is just your mental state. Like, for example, you take a loss, not re-entering. Do you know, and just sticking to your plan, 1 trade a day, something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Definitely, but also going on the point of you don't know what you're looking at. It's kind of because we can notice failure swings and stuff like that, but people might think, oh yeah, I'm going to short. Keep their position open, not notice that failure swing, and it'll just come back.
Yeah, I kind of get what you mean. Yeah, to be fair.
Because I can't sometimes I miss breakers and that, but then notice it after.
Yeah, that's
what it is.
You're not going to get everything, are you?
Yeah, is this what we call each other the hindsight king? Or
yeah. I'm up 100 at the end of the day when I review the charts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. That was a massive thing when I started. I remember it was watching your weekly outlooks, and it was just consistently watching you. Meant that when I was looking at the charts, it was like almost second nature because I'd watched so many hours of you do it.
Yeah.
I knew what to look for.
Yeah.
And it's that same thing. It's like just doing something over and over and over again.
Yeah, yeah.
Gets you to the point where you don't even think about doing it. You just do it.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, I feel like that's why, when like you're starting before going to live markets, that's why you should definitely backtest, because you can just keep entering positions, see what works, what doesn't, and you're not going to lose anything because it's just fake.
That comes down to what we were saying before, though, doesn't it? Like you can't rush
greatness.
Rush this. Yeah, you can't rush greatness. Like,
Definitely
otherwise, you're just going to pay the price. Literally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't rush
That's
it.
true.
I feel like the more you rush it in trading, like it definitely affects you.
100%. 100%.
Like you just
The more you want it,
set
the
you
less
back.
it works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, the minute you start chasing the money, like the more it's gonna run away from you.
Yeah, because it's like if you just got into trading, you made like your first little bit of profit, and then so if like you think, oh yeah, like you're already there, and you quit your job, then that's just going to make you chase the profits because that's the only income you're getting.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
That does happen to everyone, though. I reckon, like, I don't know about you guys, but I remember when I first started, I made so much money in the span of like 2 days. I thought I was a king.
Yeah, it gets to your head, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I was like, I'm just not wrong. I can't be wrong. Like, I've just made. Bear in mind, I was only trading like £6,000 at the time.
Yeah.
I was like risking 600 quid a trade. And I'm like, I'm up £2,000 here. I just like I am the market maker. And then a week later, I blew the entire £6,000.
That's great fun, though, isn't it?
Yeah, demos. Sounds like you think you're on top of the world.
Yeah,
for sure.
Humbled that instantly.
Yeah, that's why that's all about psychology, though, isn't it? It's easy to demo trade and hold your trade, but no, as soon as you're live trading, you can see that P&L go up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah. So
It's
a lot of what we're
story.
talking about here seems like relates back to pressure.
Yeah.
So when I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough with traders. Like pressure, like the pressure that traders feel. Especially after, like, for example, a tough loss or like a bad losing streak. Because no matter how good your mindset is or how strong your strategy is, you're going to face tough days. So for you guys, how have you like learned to handle the pressure, or manage your emotions after a loss, or and generally bounce back stronger instead of letting it spiral and heading into a little bit of a downward spiral from there?
It's a bit like what we were talking about the other day. Like, sometimes you just need to zoom out. And that's why, like, journaling is a great thing. Because, let's say this, like, last week, I was getting hit break even 2-3 trades. But if I zoom out over the month, I'm up like 15%. Do you know what I mean? It's knowing that bigger picture. But because you're looking at the markets every day, it's so easy to get so focused on what you're staring at and that loss that you've just took that day. When really, you've had 10 wins last week. Do you know what I mean?
But
it's one of the things.
Like, going back to pressure, how do you two deal with pressure? Because I have quite a weird way. Like, mine's more like, I don't know, like, well, you probably noticed, I don't like saying if I've entered or not, but then I'll let you know, like,
we know that.
Whether I've lost, whether I've won, like, but I don't know, that's just how I deal with it.
Yeah, we'll be looking at a trade and then Errol just goes quiet. I'm like, oh, look how many you longs there, and then it hits TP, and then I was like, yeah, just bank 4 are there.
Yeah, or I'll cut it short, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. That's just how I deal with it. I feel more pressure like I've said it, and then I sit there like, blowing my monitor and stuff. But just sit there quiet. I don't know. I just feel more relaxed.
I don't know.
What do you usually do?
I always found losing easier than winning. Like, I don't know. At the start of trading, like I could see, I could watch the position hit my stop loss and it wouldn't affect me. But then I'd struggle on the other end. Like, the pressure would get to me not taking my profits, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, like, I'd be in the trade thinking like, oh, when do I take?
Yeah. And it weren't until I decided to do that at 2R take partials. Oh, in fact, for ages I just did 2R, didn't I?
Yeah.
It was just
and you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, and it weren't until I seen Errol getting 8R gold trades that I'm like, right, let's try and change
the same as you. Just take 2 hours and then it just kept running.
Yeah, it's 100% something with the market though. As soon as it's 2R, it usually reverses.
Yeah.
It is.
It's like, even pulls back any further, mate. I'm just coming back.
Yeah. But with all that being said, I generally do think, one of the hardest things about trading is actually you versus yourself ultimately. Like, yeah, we got the community, you got people holding you accountable, externally making sure you're up on time. But I do generally think the hardest thing about trading is you versus yourself. Like, I'm not there to wake, for example, you in the morning, Errol, up, right? I can't be next to you, on your bed to say, get up, Errol, at 6 o'clock, you know what I mean? So
I get FaceTime at like 6:30 and I'm not awake.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, it is you versus yourself. When you're going through a losing streak, it's not just about the money. It's the self-doubt that you come across, the frustration you feel, or the feeling like you're doing everything wrong. And if you don't know how to manage that internal pressure, it can really mess up your, decision-making and lead to even bigger mistakes. So how you handle that, or, learning how to reset mentally after, a loss or two is just almost as important as the actual trading itself, for sure. Off the back of that, though, I do think, the one thing that helped me personally handle pressure was just journaling my trades and my emotions after each session. It's crazy how much more, clarity and innocence you get when you actually look back at your decisions without, all the heat of the moment, so to speak. So, if I was going to ask you guys, personally, I would ask you, do you guys use journaling or trade reviews, and, how has that personally helped your performance and growth in trading?
It made me feel better and worse at the same time.
Yeah,
it's one of them unnecessary evils, and it's like you can see how well you've done. But don't get me wrong, like, none of us are perfect. We do take, well, I take stupid trades sometimes, and I'm like reviewing it, and then you go, well, why am I doing that?
Yeah.
But then it's without actually writing that down and reminding yourself what you've done wrong.
Yeah.
That it's not going to stop you doing it again. If you get what I mean. Yeah,
definitely. What about you, Errol?
Yeah, no, journaling, honestly, I think it's probably the best thing you can do.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You remember me saying that I was having quite like a bad patch in it? So some people probably saw that. I took like 2 trades in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, we definitely saw that.
But then like, I journaled and I realised that, like, why have I not taken much? And it was because I was just hesitating, but then also the bigger picture.
Yeah. I suppose that's the great thing about journaling, though, is that you do generally spot bad habits that you didn't even realise you had before. So I do feel like journaling definitely, is a great tool. Or if you aren't already doing that, if you're out there listening, just get started journaling. It's easy to do. You can do on like a Google spreadsheet, load up Notion, etc. Very easy to do.
Check out ZCFX Notion.
$39.99.
No, it is good though.
Yeah, you can do it for free, guy. You don't need to even purchase it. But if you want to just load up even if you want to write it down on a piece of paper, you can. But obviously, you can't put the chart screenshot on there unless you want to, manually write down the trade view URL, which is,
It's a bit like backtesting. Like, you backtest to get data in order to prove your strategy's working. So in the live environment, when you're trading real money, you still need to be collecting that data to see where you can improve. Without knowing where you're going wrong, you're never gonna get any better.
Yeah, definitely. And do you guys would you recommend journaling after every single trade, or just like at the end of the day or a session, or does it just depend really?
Oh, if I don't do it after the trade, I don't do it at all.
Yeah, you're
I've got like a 5-minute cut-off point of if I don't do it within that 5 minutes, then it's not getting done.
Yeah, no.
Or if you do try and do it after that 5-minute period, it takes you about half an hour to get distracted.
Yeah. So it's just easier to copy the link.
Yeah, for sure. It's easy to do it online. But yeah, with that being said, I generally do think journaling is very, very important. Along obviously with backtesting as well. And I do think that journaling actually ties into, another massive piece of trading success is building confidence. Because it's one thing to have a plan and, strategies or systems, etc. written down, but believing in your process, especially, during rough patches, that's what separates serious traders from everyone else. So how do you guys, think traders can start building real confidence over time, especially when they're still early in their journey?
Well, Jack always calls me for this, but 0.01 lot is the way to get confidence up.
God, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Start small and just slowly build it up, and then, I don't know, it just helps.
Yeah. No, I agree, because at the end of the day, 0.01, you're not going to win much, but you're not going to lose much. That way, you're actually executing the trade in a live environment, but you can slowly build that up over time. That's one of the best advice I'll give to, the trader who lacks confidence. I personally, hands down, say that. What about
it's
you,
weird though. It's just, I don't know. I feel like you can go through a patch where you just execute without thinking, and then sometimes so much just happens in your brain where you just hesitate for some reason. And I think that's when it is good just to reduce risk.
Yeah.
And still get in the trade, but not have your full loss.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just like we said before, the massive thing is just cutting losses. As soon as you learn how to cut losses,
yeah,
then you don't feel as bad when you are losing because you're not losing your full risk.
Yeah, I agree. Anything you'd like to
And
add
it
on
helps
there,
you as
Errol?
well. I was gonna say like helps you as well. Like not like cutting your losses because you know that like you've not lost the
Yeah.
full trade.
Yeah, it's like better for your mental, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's that thing like we were saying the other day. Like sometimes you just know the trade's not going to work out.
Yeah, when it like hovers around you.
Yeah, like
you've
seen it happen that many times. Like it's like a special G CAD. Like you can see when price is hovering around a certain point where you entered at. The amount of times in back testing and when I've took a live trade on G CAD and that's failed and hit my stop, that's when you reduce risk. It's just becomes second nature.
Yeah, definitely. But with that being said, we've covered mindset, pressure, and confidence. Pretty much obviously all the keys to success, obviously in this industry. But at the end of the day, there's also the technical analysis side of things that we can't really ignore. So a lot of traders swear by technical analysis, while other traders focus more on the sentiment or the fundamental side of things. So how would you guys balance both? Is there one that you prioritize more than the other, or is it about finding the right mix for your style? Or for example, do you close your positions before a big news event? Because for me personally, my positions, I'm in and out like that quick. It doesn't really get affected by the news, especially on the macro type of wavelength.
Depends on the news release, I think. Like I don't know. I've been spanked enough by CPI to not hold through CPI.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, and to be fair, especially trading certain prop firms, you're not actually allowed to trade through news anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you're not allowed to close it anyway. So
yeah,
it's not worth the risk of me taking off my stop loss to do it.
Yeah, and it's just better like again mentally in it because like you just keep worrying, thinking, is this going to take me out and am I going to get slippage? It's like on gold. I closed the trade early and nothing even happened, and there was red news. So just like what? No point for closing.
But it's just one of those things. Yeah, exactly. But it's one of those things where if you hadn't have closed it because it's based on, like, if you were to one of those people that changes the way you trade based on a single outcome of a trade, for example, that one didn't, that news outlet didn't affect the gold trade you was in. A lot of people would take that into the next trade and be like, okay, well the news is being released in 10 minutes, but last time it didn't affect my position, so let's just keep holding it, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but that just comes down to experience, though. It's like that biggest thing that you can't rush time on the charts.
Yeah.
The only reason we're saying this is probably because all of us have held through news, and it's just smacked our stop loss.
Yeah, it never really works out ultimately. I mean, you may get lucky, but ultimately it never really works out for sure. But
you never really know what's going on with news either, really. Well, obviously, you can have a bias and you can have a data, but you never actually know what's going to be released on numbers.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit sporadic. It's quite there's a lot of uncertainty around it. But at the minute, it's quite obvious to what the market's quite responding to. Obviously, the trade tariff war, the trade tension we're seeing in the markets. That's these mini economic headlines that you're seeing being released in the market. We're not seeing that impact the market as much as we are the news related to the trade tariff war, for example. So it's quite obvious in that sense. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with what you're saying. Anyways, though, I don't want to steer too much off topic, so let's go back to pretty much what we were talking about earlier. So, for example, we talked about a lot of the mental aspect of trading, technical side of obviously the trading as well. But here's something that often gets overlooked, and that's the role of community and just networking in general with other traders. So, it's easy to think of trading as a solo journey, but having a strong support network around you can definitely make all the difference, especially on those tough days. So, how important has the community aspect been for you guys in your own trading journey, and what role does networking play in finding success as a trader? Having someone to speak to about trading.
I think it's so much better because it can get. I feel like that's why some people stop because it can get a bit boring, just sitting there on your own. Whereas like when you have someone to like laugh and joke with, whilst trading, it just makes it so much more fun. like how ever since Jack got upgraded from the yellow name to the green name,
Hey.
like we've like been in the call, and it, I don't know, it just makes it a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly. Because we just bounce off each other. We discuss trade ideas. We just discuss everything trading related, really.
It's a thing we say to people all the time, though, isn't it? Like just it's better to ask, especially when obviously in your mentorship they're all trading the same way.
Yeah.
Like you're not on your own. You may as well don't feel stupid asking a question because
exactly.
The
question will help you get funded.
Name.
All right.
I'm joking.
Yeah, no, but honestly, having a community around you, like-minded people, especially all on the same mission to, success, even if you're not even a bloody trader, anything, no matter what you do in life, having a strong network around you definitely advances you to that next level a lot quicker, in my opinion. So yeah, just definitely find yourself a network. Obviously, we've got the free public Discord as well, which you guys can join. But yeah, is there anything else you'd like to add to that, guys, or should we look to wrap it up here? Because we can there's so much things to discuss, but we don't obviously sit here.
Yeah, I feel like we keep veering off our topic. It's probably best to leave it to another episode.
I mean,
otherwise we'll be in like 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, there's one last thing though. Like, it's good seeing the chat so active now, because now it doesn't actually feel like you're on your own. Even like say like we don't join the call.
Yeah,
there's people talking in the chat. It just makes
exactly.
Even that little, even though it's small, it just makes it feel a lot better.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing though. It's do you think it'd still be the same if we all weren't trading the same way? Because, like, don't get me wrong, there's sometimes I'll be speaking to traders and they'll be speaking absolute gibberish to me. I'll have no idea what they're going on about S&T divergence and the yeah, and I've just sat there like, I've just shorted up a POI there, that's all I've done.
yeah.
I saw a box and shorted.
It definitely makes it easier when everyone's trading a similar way, if not the same way, because it's just you have something to talk about. Like you have the same mappings on the charts. But at the end of the day, you can pull up a euro-dollar chart and look to short, but then so can that person down the road. Even though his analysis may look completely different, yours may look completely different to his, etc., and the next person will look completely different. You still have the same idea on a short and a euro-dollar, but I do obviously it makes a lot more sense if obviously people are trading the similar way for sure.
Be interesting to see in the comments like what strategy do people think is the best?
Yeah, definitely, guys. If you're listening to this, make sure you put down the comments on the way you're trading. Or obviously, if you're not already getting a free public Discord, and obviously post your analysis in there, etc., because that'd be pretty cool to see.
I mean, the best strategy is put as little amount of markings as possible on the charts.
Yeah,
that's the best.
Yeah, exactly. Just a deep understanding of raw price action. That's all you need, really, guys. If you can understand that, everything else kind of unfolds. But with that being said, I mean, I'm okay with wrapping it up here because we've got so much to discuss. But let us know in the comments as well if you want us to discuss anything else specifically. But Jack, Errol,
ask some questions as well.
Yeah,
we might do a Q&A for one of them.
Yeah.
Well, we're thinking about reviewing people's trades as well, weren't we?
Yeah, we're doing a bit of a Q&A.
We're definitely going to do.
The Q&A would be good as well. But honestly, this has been a massive conversation. We talk about everything: mindset, consistency, handling pressure, journaling, building confidence, and just even the power of having a community as well. We just discussed there, but there's so much value here for everyone listening. Whether you're just starting out already deep into your journey, just want to say a big thanks to Jack and Errol as well for jumping on. Obviously, you're going to see them in obviously future episodes because they are the main guys now. But obviously for jumping on today and sharing their experiences and insights. And obviously, we're really excited to have you both as part of the ZCFX team as well. You're a great help to the community and they obviously, love you as well. But with that being said, for everyone tuning in, this is just the beginning. We've got a lot more coming, more topics, more real conversations, and just generally more value to help you grow as a trader. But if you found today's video obviously helpful, make sure to follow along as we'll be releasing episode 2 very soon. Make sure you share it around with your friends as well and just stay locked in with us. But thanks again, guys, for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Peace.